Kelly Brown is Megan. All right, everybody, welcome to our Sunday night Zoom. Thanks for being here. I think it's very fitting that we're talking about triggers, obstacles, and transitions because my kids are losing their mind upstairs right now in the kitchen, which is right above my office. And that's a huge trigger for me. So Megan is here with me, Megan Kaufman. And then if anybody else has stuff to share tonight, it's Lindsay. I thought I saw Lindsay. There she is. If anybody wants to share, the way the Sunday night Zooms kind of work is a little different. So if you guys, some of y'all are in our To Be Mindset group, and some of you guys are in our Fitness 30 family group. And the Sunday night Zooms for the fitness group are our kickoff call for the week. So we the coaches lean in and give some tips and things from our experience. And then in the To Be Mindset, we have a accountability call that's a little different. So if anybody's wondering well, why would this be different? That's the difference. And so we're about to start our 30 days tomorrow. And it was on my heart to do the topic of obstacles, triggers, and transitions because we're heading into summer. Or for any of you guys, whether you have kids or not, summer's different. I don't know. Your routines are different. It's hot. Let's just say it. I'm from the South, but I've lived in Ohio now for 8 years, and I have officially lost my Southern thick skin with heat. But I've also developed this amazing sense of 50 degrees is short sleeve weather, where growing up 50 degrees was winter coat. So there's a trade-off, right? But I'm going to start us off tonight. And then Megan, if you want to share, and anybody else, just, go ahead and feel free to add. So for those of you guys who don't know me, and I know we introduced ourselves in the group, but I'm a coach and I'm a mama of 7 kids. My oldest is almost 14. My youngest is almost 9 months. And it's an adventure. And I never realized how busy I guess I always thought my normal was just everyone's normal until when I would get around other families and they would be like, no, your normal is not everybody else's normal. And I realized, this is really, my stepmom said to me one day, because she had my brothers and they were 6 years apart. She was like, you need to give yourself some grace. You really have a full-time gig. So it's funny that I learned that from others saying it. So it made me realize the whole grace, not perfection, which we talk a lot about. What's been cool about this is coming to talk to you today about obstacles, triggers, and transitions. It was prep week for us in the 30-day group, and we were talking about, our why and what our goals are and where we want to go and the road. And I've been doing this for 5 years, and this has been legit one of the hardest prep weeks I've ever had to navigate. And I think it's good. I feel the hard is because a new level of commitment to my journey in fitness and health is happening with the To Be Mindset stuff, because I'm really digging into that, but also with just exercise, because I've had obstacles. I started doing 80-day obsession at the beginning of the year. And then 2 months in, I finished phase 1, I finished phase 2, and then I fully injured this part of my shoulder and back and had to quit. For 6 weeks, I was told I couldn't do it. So then I started another program. And then when I was doing that program, something happened. And then it's just nonstop, something's been an obstacle. And because of these groups, it's taught me that even if there are obstacles, to expect them, because it's not a one and done. It's not a one day and you've got it mastered. It's not even a one challenge and it's mastered. It's a continual journey of recommitting. And so when we know what obstacles could come up, if we are prepared for them, we can, what one of my mentors calls it, and I think she actually got this from Stephen Furtick. He's the pastor at Elevation Church, and his podcasts are phenomenal. But he said, you pre-decide how you're going to respond to these obstacles. So a couple obstacles that I have had happen are injury.
Michael, hold on, please.
Sometimes you have, hang on, I'm gonna mute everybody. sometimes you have like an injury that pops up, and you might have said, I'm going to do this program, and then you start the program and all of a sudden like you're not able to do the workouts because you get injured, like and you have to be prepared when those things happen to have a plan B, to not just give up, another obstacle that can happen if we're moms is kids getting sick. Like that is an obstacle. When my youngest, my now almost 9-month-old, got really sick the other week, it threw me off because I needed to be mom and hold him all the time. But I also had to be creative because I knew that my exercise and my health is important. So I needed to have like resources of what I could do. Like my mindset had to be like, instead of, now he's sick, which I feel horrible that I feel bad, but like I have to take care of him, but I really need my exercise. For me is anti-stress. So not being able to exercise and having a sick baby and not sleeping equals really cranky mom. So I needed to figure out like, how can I overcome this obstacle? Does that mean maybe today I do 10 minutes of a stretch DVD or streaming video? We don't do DVDs anymore. And, just like, I'm so old school. At least I didn't say VHS. But you know what I'm saying? Like those are the obstacles. Other obstacles, travel. We're going to be traveling this summer. We're going to go visit family. If we don't plan, just make a decision before we go. Cookouts, I used to see cookouts and birthday parties as obstacles to fitness and nutrition goals, because if I was going to a cookout, I didn't know how to say no to anything. And we're going to navigate tips and things in our group of how we do that. But I think it's just important to recognize obstacles are opportunities to grow. And that was what this wonderful speaker, his name is Sean Harper, at a retreat said to us. They're just opportunities. And if you look at an obstacle as an opportunity to grow, it can't knock you down. It might push you back a little bit. It might slow you down a little bit, but it can't knock you out. But you have to see it as an opportunity to grow. And so I want to challenge you guys to kind of think, as we're going from week to week, what are the obstacles that maybe I need to overcome? Like, what are the things that I maybe are could get in my way that I could be an opportunity, or if they just happen. And then you can also lean in the group, and say, this happened, and because it's a safe place to say it, we're not going to say it's not a tough love group. It's a loving group, and we'll tell you what you need to know, but not like a locker room coach who yells at everybody, because we're not perfectionists. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we're afraid. So I wanted to just share about that. And then I have a little bit on triggers and transitions, but Megan, did you want to share anything with?
Yeah, sure. So it's really funny that you just mentioned the opportunity. The obstacles are an opportunity, because that's basically like everything I wanted to say. But I just I've been having a tough week because I've been traveling. My husband's not with me, and trying to take care of my kids. Thankfully, my parents are helping me, but things are all out of whack. So this is kind of something that I've been thinking about as I go through this obstacle. And they really are an opportunity. And the reason that is because we have a chance to reflect on who we are right now and what is getting in our way. So we can learn and we can grow, because the whole reason that each and every one of us decided to be a part of this 30-day challenge, this To Be Mindset group, whatever, is because we want to make a change. We want to change to be the best version of ourselves continuously. And I know that I tend to, my whole life, I've always kind of had this perfectionist mentality of, well, if I can't do it right or the way that I think is perfect, then I'm just not going to even try. So it completely changes the perspective. Yeah, we're enough now. And it changes the perspective from having to take that one step to our goal to taking the baby steps to our goal, because we can say, okay, this isn't the way I wanted things to go. We got injured. We can't do the workouts. my kids have colds right now, and one of them's teething like crazy, and he just doesn't listen at all, and he's like that. So it's been really hard, and like I can't get things that I want to get done. And so my plans are imperfect, but you know, I can recognize who I am when that happens, and where I get upset and what happens when I get upset. So I kind of ask myself those questions when I have a second to breathe, you know, like what happened? Why did it happen? How did I feel? You know, what triggered those feelings, and then what feelings triggered those actions or not those actions. So that I can be aware of those things. And then, like Kelly said, I can know what obstacles I will face when things get out of sort, you know? And something else that I thought of is when reflecting on what's happening in those obstacles is you have to remember your purpose, because you want to realize, you know, when we have our goals, we want to get somewhere, but I don't think that we can really get there unless we recognize and love ourselves where we are right now. And so you have to remember that, you know, you have to remember where you are right now, and be open to the opportunity, to grow, to learn about yourself, to learn your weaknesses so that you can accept them. Because if you don't accept them, you can't change them. You know, I've recognized that in this journey, it's constantly peeling me back. It's constantly revealing these places where I'm finding things that I realize that are weaknesses about me, but at the same time, I'm growing, realizing that I am a strong person because I can choose to overcome those things. And it kind of sometimes feels like, I don't know, like you're ripping off Band-Aids constantly. So it kind of hurts sometimes over and over and over again, but you're revealing the wounds, or you're revealing the weakness so that you can heal and you can grow. But I think when we remember our purpose and who we want to be and what we want to accomplish, peeling away the onions. I always think of Shrek when I think of the onions, like ogres that like onions, or parfaits. Anyways, nice. Killian calls it the dragon movie. But anyways, yeah. So like the other day, my parents have a treadmill, and I went for a run on it because it was like the only thing that I could do for fitness at the time. I was like, I'm just going to run. And I was like, a couple weeks ago, I went for a run, and I was like, I bet I could run 2 miles. And I ran like a mile, and I was like, I only ran a mile. Like, I'm dying. And so when I was going on this run, I kind of had this mental process that I've been kind of talking to you guys about just now. And I realized that, some of my personal struggles and obstacles and things that block me, and thought about who I am and who I want to be. And I want to be somebody who can overcome those obstacles, and who can choose to be a strong person. And so I kind of was like, you know, I can do 2 miles. Like, I can do it. The only person telling me that I can't do it is myself. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel exhausted. I mean, I did because I was working out, but like, I knew physically I could make it there. And the only person that was telling me I couldn't was myself. And so like I watched the little steps, you know, on the treadmill, and got to that goal, which was huge for me because it just made me realize that we have power over these things. And 2 miles might seem like a baby step, but that's great too, because those baby steps need to happen. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. Does anybody want us to add anything about obstacles or feedback on that? Something, the next thing I was going to mention too, when you were talking about, I love how you talked about like you have to know your purpose. And if you guys haven't had a chance, all of the videos from Prep Week are going to go in a unit in the group, so you can go back. Like to revisit like the one on goals or the one on road mapping, like where are you going, or the one on the why, because you're going to constantly, your purpose is like your why. And I love how you were talking about reflecting on like what happened and how did I feel. And that is exactly how I was going to like, that flows into what I was thinking about sharing with triggers. Like obstacles are things that, are kind of coming or they pop up. The difference, the trigger to me is a trigger usually gets an immediate response. Like, so for me, just some examples, there are times of days that are triggers for me, like bedtime and 3:00 in the afternoon are triggers. Like especially if I haven't eaten those times of day, like I need, I usually have my Shakeology actually at like 3 PM because it makes me happy. And I think there's actually a nutritional reason for that. It's not just because it's delicious, but or I'll have hot tea. Like when it was cold outside, I would fix myself a cup of tea because when all my kids got home from school, it was a trigger because I would go from 2 to 7 and it got crazy. And bedtime around here is like a hostage situation. Like it's like you're completely, I don't know if you ever watched Jim Gaffigan, but like he gets it. His Mr. Universe is hilarious. And it's right. Like one kid's always out. Like last night, my number 6 like snuck out of his bed and was trying to like get in the kitchen and get around and climbing on stuff. And Courtney and I were just sitting in the front room talking. We had no idea because he was so, and we were just trying to, because he's so like stealth. And those are triggers for me. When I feel there are other things that are triggers for me, are like going places with all my kids if they're really crowded, like the zoo, like are fun, but they're triggers in the sense that there's a lot going on and it spikes my anxiety. And there are certain people in my life that I love, but their family members included, that can be a trigger. Like maybe they're coming to visit and they can just trigger my emotions and trigger me to go to that negative place where I feel defeated, or trigger me to like, to emotionally eat, or trigger me to spiral into such a bad mood that I won't do my workout. And so the point of triggers, especially with summertime, is like, especially if it's a time of day, is for me, what I'm working on, this is kind of my thing for June that I'm going to be working on. It's something we talked about on a retreat we ran in March. I did it really well for a day. Then I forgot, is a trigger can be overcome when you integrate transitions into your routine. And what I mean by that, because it sounds really technical, is if it's a time of day, set a little mini transition into that day. So for example, right now we're all home for the summer. So when my husband is coming home from his job, I don't want him to walk into a house where I'm like in go mode. So I need to set an alarm on my phone 15 minutes before he gets home, and then think, what can I do so when he gets home, I transition from crazy busy mom to present wife? Because when my husband comes home, if I'm crazy busy mom, it's a trigger for me because he feels my stress. I feel his stress. It gets stressed. And then I literally want to go for the chocolate. Like it's an easy way for me to just set the timer, sit down, maybe read a page of my devotional, maybe fix a cup of hot tea, something, but stop and move to the next thing. If it's a person, maybe there needs to be, like, we call it an emergency checklist, like a couple things you have in your reserve, like a praise. If you're like into music, I have like a praise and worship playlist that kind of helps me calm down, or personal development, like podcast to listen to, or a Bible verse that I can say in my mind when I'm getting overwhelmed. It transitions me back to a good place when I start to go back to a bad place. Transitions can be a cup of hot tea. It can be a verse that you've memorized. It can be, for me, sometimes a transition for me when I'm overwhelmed in the afternoon is to sit on my back porch and just to sit in a different room. I just need to get out of my house, or sit on my front steps. Courtney thinks it's hilarious, but if I sit on the back steps, I don't even just with my water bottle for 5 minutes, I come back in like a new person. And it transitions me out of the stressful trigger so that you can do kind of what Megan was saying and reflect. Because what I find happens with triggers is they catch us so hard we can't even reflect on them and we react to them. And I think in our journey, like, I know for me, when I get bad news, it's a trigger. If a person calls me because something's wrong, it's a trigger. If, you know, if I'm working and like everything's going well, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, I remember I forgot to do something and I feel like, you know, a bill was overdue or something, that could be a trigger. There's lots of them. But what I have learned is, instead of reacting to them, if you can transition yourself in that moment through something, and that it'll take some time for you to think about it, but what would help you calm down and remind yourself like what's really important. And some of them are times of day, some of them might be like, I feel like with summer coming, like, you know, I wrote down a couple of mine are like high stress times of day. A lot of people come to visit, or when we travel and we're going to people's homes, one of my good friends and mentors says you chair fly it, like you kind of put yourself in the seat before you go there and visualize what you want it to be like, and then you come up with a transition. So for me lately, yes, cleaning. Oh my gosh, Megan, we like purged everything today. Courtney and I were like overwhelmed big time this past week because I got really sick with mastitis. It was his last week of school. The kids were like melting down every day because they're so tired. And you can tell that we feel so good now because we threw away like 10 bags of school supplies that were trashed, and we cleaned out closets and we cleaned out my office. But that makes me feel better. Like if I could just organize a junk drawer, I'm happy. Like, you know, but I think it's important to know and think about those things. And if you need suggestions, to ask, and it changes from time to time. But I just feel like, when we take that time to plan ahead, because they're going to happen. Obstacles are a little bit bigger, triggers can be small, but knowing and building it into our habits help you in the long run, you know, and can really help you, and just to not feel defeated or knocked down when things happen, instead to see it like, this is just what's going on right now. And one of the reasons why we love, I've read this book before. I don't know if everyone's read it, but this is the book we're going to read. It's optional, but our team is reading it, and we thought it would be fun to add into the challenge group. So if you guys want to read it with us, and the last Sunday of this month, we'll do a book club. But one of the reasons I love this book, Made to Crave, is because she really helps you get to the root of some of our triggers, you know. And for me, I realized when I was at church today, I told my husband when I got home, I said, you know, I just want to enjoy my kids. Like, I just want to enjoy watching them be kids. I just want to enjoy them. And there's times I do. And then there's times that I'm so stressed out about trying to make everything perfect still, that I'm not enjoying them being kids. And I'm missing little moments where they're doing things that are cute. I need something in my routine to snap me out of it when I get into crazy go mode, because literally at the end of my life, God is not going to say, well, you had dust on your fireplace. Like, he's going to say, did you see that? Like, these wonderful people that are in your house, like, yeah, it's crazy. But so I've been trying to slow down more, because sometimes that go mode is what's getting me so triggered. And so I think for me, like, I'm a planner. So I planned out my week. I plan every week, like when I'm going to work, when I'm not going to work, when we're going to do homework for school, summer, when we're going to go to the library. Not super planned, but enough to have it on the calendar. It won't happen. And now I'm going to sit down with Courtney and ask him, like, when are you going to be home every day? So I can transition that. In the morning, I'm going to wake up a little bit before my kids. I've told them they're not allowed to leave their room till 7 in the morning, so I can have 15 minutes to transition into my morning. You know, and then at nighttime, have something before bedtime to transition everybody to bed. But I just think it's important that we fit those in and know that they're going to change a little bit here and there, but the more you do them, the more regular they get. And then it helps everything else to fall into place. So that was just some other things I was thinking about. Did you want to add anything to that, Megan, or Lindsay, or other Megan who says Kelly, or Emily? Anybody else have anything they want to share? Are we all good? Oh, bummer. Okay, we gotta fix that. Well, I appreciate you guys being on here tonight. I have a child hovering right now. Do you ever get that feeling someone's watching you and you look and you're like, oh, someone is watching me? I appreciate you guys hopping on tonight. What I want for everyone who's watching tonight, and also for people listening to the recording, for your little task for the week, is write down, like, what are your obstacles that you can see this week, or your trigger times or circumstances, and then come up with 3 solutions, like 3 things you can do, to kind of plan ahead, or to diffuse the bomb, or to transition that time frame. You pick what's most important, because for some of y'all it might be like, I got a big obstacle, and for some of you it might be transitioning. But 3 things, so 3 obstacles or triggers, and 3 transitions. And then if you haven't, I really recommend like getting a copy of Made to Crave. You can get it from the library. It's not a hard read, and you can read a couple chapters a week, and there's really good reflection questions at the end. So but yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to be here tonight, and I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much, Megan, for sharing. That was really good, like really good. On Hoopla, yeah. And if you have the devotional, it's kind of broken up to read in 60 days, but you could read it and you're fine. It's not like even if you don't, I want you to finish the book, but the last Sunday of the month, you're like, I didn't finish, I can't go. Or even if you don't read the book, still come, because you can draw stuff from people sharing their takeaways. But it's a great, I think this will be my 3rd time reading it. And I know God will hit me with some new things. So I hope you guys have an awesome week then. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Take care.